Hi there, this is GeoFlex Media. In today's After Effects tutorial, we are going to be taking you through 20 tips you require to know to improve your workflow in After Effects. Now let's begin. Here in After Effects, we have this video, and this is number one tip. We have this video here, and this video is about 10 seconds length. The length of the video is 10 seconds. So let me drag it into the timeline. Okay, first of all, I need to increase or make it fit the comp. So what I do, I right click on it, then go to transform, fit to comp, so that it fills the whole comp. Okay, the next thing is this. This video is 10 seconds long, you can see. So, but I want to increase the length to say about 30 seconds to fill this from here to here, 30 seconds. So I go to the project panel, which is here, where the main video is. Right click on it and go to interpret footage, then click on main. Right, once you click on main, you look at here, down here you see loop. This video I want it to loop 3 times. It's already looping 1 time, so 3 times, I mean 10 seconds times 3, which is 30 seconds. So once I put 3 and click OK, my OK, you can see it. Okay, just press enter. All right, press enter. So you can see this has increased the length of this video, but I still need to drag it up to here. Initially, before I did that, okay, let me undo and show you. Before I did this, you wouldn't drag it, right? Okay, now that I've done it, let me redo. All right, okay, I can see redo, so let me go back and do it again. Right click, interpret footage, main, loop 3, and press enter. And that's it. You can see it has shown me a frame on which I can drag and increase the length. This is number 1 tip. Tip number 2, make ellipse equal sizes. What we need to do is to go to this shape tool. Once you look at it, you see a small tiny arrow here. Click and hold on it. Then this is ellipse. Then you click on it, it comes here. So what we need to do is to double click on this ellipse. So I want to bring it here to the comp pen or panel. Double click on it. So okay, let's first of all activate the comp so that it's here. Then you double click on it, then it comes here. As you can see, this ellipse is looking as if it is not having equal sizes. The width and the height are not equal sizes, and the reason is because the comp itself is not on equal size. So let's look at the sizes of the height and the width. This is the width, which is 1920. This is the height, 1080. So how do we make this equal size? What we need to do is press and hold Alt, then double click on this anchor, this connector, right, this link. Double click on it. Once you double click on it, they are equal sizes, so they are 1920 by 1920. So what you need to do to perhaps reduce it is, if you want to reduce it in smaller fraction, you do it this way. But if you press and hold shift and do it, it will be faster, a lot faster to do. So this is tip number 2. Tip number 3, shy icon or tool. This shy icon or tool is located here. This is it where it is right here. Okay, how do we use it? How we use it is this. If you have a number of layers on your timeline and you don't want some of them to get in the way, or you want to concentrate on working on 1 or 2 of them, and you want to hide the others, that's when this becomes very useful. So how do we use it? What you do is, before you use it, this is it represented here on the layer panels, or layer panel rather, on the timeline. But how you use it is, first of all, you select it here by clicking on it. Then any layer you want to hide, you click on this icon. For instance, you want to hide layer 421. So what you do, you click on it, then hide, click on 2, hide, click on 1, and hide. So then you concentrate on the one you want to work on. Let's say these 2, you can then work on these 2. These are still present on the comp view, but they are not they are not present here. It's still available, just that the layers are not visible. How do we unhide them? How to unhide them is this. You click on this again, because this is just like a toggle off and on button. Click on it, it brings all of them back. And to bring them fully back, you can see this is collapsed, this is full. These ones that are visible, or we are visible, then we're full. Then these ones are not full, so we need to bring them back fully. So that's how to use shy icon or tool. Tip number 4, select label group, also invert them. So we're going to be doing those two at the same time. Now the first thing we want to do is to select label group. This label is speech and this is speech as well. How do you select them all at once? So what you do here is to right click on the first one that has that same label color. Right click on it, then click on select label group to only select the label colors that are related to each of this, to this particular color. So this is it. How do you invert it? If you want to now leave it and select others that are not in this same color, right click on this is how to invert it, and say invert selection. You are not clicking on this, you're clicking on the layer itself. You're not clicking on the color when you want to invert, you're clicking on the layer itself. And when you do invert selection, it goes to the other ones that were not selected earlier. That's how to use select label group and also invert them. Tip number 5, tilde key. As you can see, After Effects is compartmentalized into various panels. As you can see here, this blue line looking like blue stroke is a panel, which is comp panel. It's another panel, this project panel. This another panel, this another panel, this another panel, this timeline panel. Now if you want to view one panel, there is this key that is like this, is you can see on the screen. That is the key. It is under escape, the escape key. So once you press it, wherever you highlight, whichever panel you highlight is what is going to show. It's going to zoom into that panel. You can see. Then you press it again, it's like toggle on and off button. You go to timeline, you press it. So why do you need to do that? If you want to focus on an area, like on a panel, and do something, or have a broader view of that panel, that's when you use it. Like if I want to see more of layers in the timeline panel, I press it. Once I've finished what I'm doing, especially if the layers here are getting longer, right, that's when you use it. You press it again, it comes back to the normal state. Tip number 6, the null layer. The null layer resides within the layer menu among other layers. These are other layers, but this is the null layer. The null layer is an invisible layer and it has many uses, but today I want to tell you the most important use case of the null layer. Once you click it, just as I did click it, it comes to the center of the comp where you are at the moment. It's usually used to parent other layers to it. These are other layers, especially if you want one layer to move or to rotate or to scale other layers. So when I select all these layers, I click one, then press shift while holding shift, click the last one, then parent to the null layer. Just as I said before, the null layer is an invisible layer. It's basically nothing. It doesn't have a visible object, but just like every other layer, it has, if you toggle this down, it has properties just like every other layer. So you can use it to position, scale, rotate, and do whatever you want to do with other layers that it is parented to. So this is the null. As I move it, it moves with other layers. Assuming I also want to scale this null layer, it scales alongside other layers that are parented to it. That is the null layer. Another use case for the null layer is when you have a keyframed object like this. This is a keyframed object. As you can see, if I try to play it, this is it. It's moving. It has a position keyframe of ping pong right? Now what I want to do here is try to move this object up this layer. If I try to move it, you could see that it's distorting the position keyframe. It's distorting the keyframe. What if, let me undo this, what if I want to move this down, right, so that I want to move this without distorting the keyframe? This is another use case for the null layer. What I want to do is this, go to new layer, null object, I click it, then I parent this is the circle, or this is the fruit rather. I parent it to the null. Once I parent it to the null, when I now drag the null, right, this null is parented to, this object is parented to null 4, you can see as indicated here. If I then drag the null, I'm able to move it with the position keyframe. Let's bring it down here. So when you now play it again, you can see the keyframe is not distorted, it still moves in the same proportion the keyframe is set. So this is another use case for the null layer. Tip number 7, trim comp to work area. So how do we do this? All right, now I have this composition that is up to a minute long, right? Okay, assume that I have animation on all of them, and or even few of them, that I now want the animation to end, say, in 30 seconds, not a minute. So usually what we do is to drag this to this place where you want it to end, right? Then right click and say trim comp to work area. Another way of doing it is this: wherever the playhead is, you just press N. Once you press N, then you right click and press trim comp to work area. Once you do that, this will move to the end, this will move to the end. You can see this composition is now 30 seconds. Tip number 8, crop comp to region of interest. This is an interesting one. Normally what we do when we try to set up a composition is to come here, right, and press new comp, then decide what the width and height will be. Well, what if you didn't do so and you now make a composition? I need to cancel this to explain this properly. Assuming I want to put this in a composition, in its own composition, what we usually do is right click, right, pre-comp, then perhaps I want to call it circle, right, circle, okay, move all attribute, that's correct. You could see that this composition, right, is assuming you can see the size of it. The bounding box is wide right now, you can see it, see the bounding box. But if you double click to go to this composition, it's where it is alone in its composition. This is how it is, right? So we don't need all this space. What is reflecting over there is this space outside this circle or ellipse. So if we go back, this is what you're saying. What we just showed you there is what you're saying. So how do we go back and make this comp to this size? So that's where crop comp to region of interest comes in. So we'll have to go back to the composition, its original composition, and come here, click this tool called region of interest, then you highlight just the area, the size of the composition you want to see. Having done that, you go to composition and then say crop comp to region of interest. Once you do so, this composition now has another height and width. So let's go back to the main comp, the final comp. You can see it now has. So why did we do this? Why we did this is to make sure that when we try to select this, we select just only, and it's not getting in the way of other layers. Like this ones, you can see they are, maintaining their space. So we've returned this to a space. So this is crop comp to region of interest. Tip number 9, trim layer or component on timeline. Trim layer or component on timeline. How do we do this? Okay, now we have this layer here and other layers as well, but let's focus on this shape layer 7. we want to reduce the comp length, or rather the layer length, to perhaps to stop at 15 seconds. What we need to do is to position the playhead where we want it to stop and press the square bracket, the right square bracket. Right, once you do so, that is it. This is where it stops. But you should do so holding Alt. Always do so holding Alt. Press Alt and do so. You can also do so on the comp. Different from the layer, you can do so on the comp. Press Alt while holding Alt. Press right square bracket. If you also want to do it, you want to cut off this side. For instance, let's use this layer. Want to cut off the left side, press Alt, holding Alt, press the left square bracket. So yeah, you're just saying that this layer should be active from here, right? So that is how to do so. Tip number 10, return to your last saved workspace. How do we do this? Sometimes when you're working in After Effects, you find out that your workspace has been messed up. So how do you recover from that? Okay, I'll give you an example. Let me drag this out. Project panel. Let me try to scatter things. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Just messing up things, right? Okay. Now, having done this, see where the layers are. Look at the composition panel, and see things are a bit messed up. Now, if I did this without knowing, how do you recover your workspace to come to the normal state? This is the way to do it. You go to Window, right? Go to Workspace and reset animation to saved workspace. Why did it say animation? Because the workspace I am on is animation, and as you can see here, if I were to be, or I was to be in Essential Graphics or any other workspace, it would have also said reset perhaps Essential Graphics to saved workspace. So since we are on animation, let me press this. Once I press this, you could see like a magic, my workspace comes to normal. Tip number 11, replace items and retain their keyframed properties. How do we do this? I have this ellipse which has keyframe. Okay, let me just play the keyframe right now. Okay, this is the keyframe. It's a position keyframe. So this is a ping pong loopout position keyframe. Now, how do I replace this circle here or ellipse, retaining the keyframed properties or property as the case may be? Now I have this on the project panel, this pre-comp, this fruit, this is a fruit, avocado pear, I think that's what it's called. Okay, now I want to replace it with this. I want to replace this with this avocado pear. So what I need to do is to press Alt while holding Alt, drag it and drop on this circle. But I need to make sure that this layer is selected first of all. Where is this layer? Where is it? Okay, it's this. Yeah, that is it. That is the circle. This circle 2, which is the circle 2 is this pear here. Now I need to make sure that what I'm replacing is selected on the layer panel. Then what I am about to replace it with, which is this circle 2, is selected on the project panel. So while clicking on holding and pressing Alt, click this and drag, then drop it on it. It's replaced while retaining the keyframe. Once we play it, that's how it is done. That is, replace items, retain their keyframed properties. Tip number 12, move shape with trim path. Move shape with trim path. How do we do this? Okay, I have this line here. This line I've drawn with a pen tool, and also have this arrow made from polyester shape. Okay, now how do we do this? Alright, what I want to do first is to add a trim path to this line. Now let me toggle it down, and while clicking on this shape, I highlighted, then add trim path, and trim path drops here under the shape. So what I need to do now is to keyframe the end property of this trim path. So I want it to stop at 2 seconds. So how to do that? This is another pro tip. Just type 200 and press enter. The playhead will move to 2 seconds, and as you can see, it's registered here. So okay, what I wanted to do is to put another keyframe, but go back and reduce this to 0 so that this line will come back to nothing, to become invisible. But when I move this playhead, you can see, or let me press play. When I press play, you can see it animates in that fashion. So what I want to do next to make this move with it, to make this arrow move with it, what I want to do is to copy the path of this line, the path. So how do we get the path? Come here and then go to shape, scroll it down. This is the path. So I want to copy the path property of this line. Then press Ctrl C while selecting this path, Ctrl C. Then go back to the arrow and paste it on the position of the arrow, but I have to make sure that I'll press U to make sure that the keyframe here on the line, the end keyframe, is visible. It's visible. Then going back to the arrow, and we make sure that the playhead is at the beginning, which is this, at the beginning. Then you press P to bring out the position property of the arrow. Then while pressing on P, while clicking on P, you now press Ctrl V, and this is it. You can see now that this arrow here is positioned, it's moving alongside. When we press play, it's moving alongside, but we need to correct something. As you can see, this arrow here is not positioned very well. What we can do now is to go to the arrow and click on it, then go to right click on it. When you right click on it, you go to transform, auto orient, then orient along path. Then we press OK. So when you now play it again, you see it's following properly. But you can also position, you can see the arrow is not properly positioned. Also, you can go to the rotation property, press R, then you now have to position it manually. So let's play it again and see what happens. It's a lot better now. Tip number 13, layer properties search bar. How do we use this? This is where it is, this search bar here. When you click on anything and you want to search for anything, when you click on any layer, for instance, I'm clicking on this layer, line layer. Remember on the tip number 12, when I mentioned that we needed to go to the path of this line, what I needed to just do then was to type PATH, and it will bring out this. So I can also use it for other properties. As you mean, I wanted to find out the position or locate the position of this layer the same way I'll do. You could see it has brought it out again. So you can basically use it for other properties, rotation, for instance. That is it. That's how to use this. Tip number 14. Tip number 14 is 3 ways to create shadow. 3 ways to create shadow. Now, how do we do this? I have this layer here, which is GeoFlex Media. Now, what I want to do is this. Already, this GeoFlex Media has a stroke effect, which is a layer style stroke effect, as you can see here. Stroke effect size 15. Okay, stroke size is 15. Don't use this stroke here, right? For this effect to happen effectively, for it to come out very optimized, you have to use layer style stroke. So what I want to do is to duplicate it. This one way, duplicate it, then apply where is my effects and preset. You apply CC radial blur, and which is this, not CC's fast blur, CC radial blur. Once you apply it on the second one, on the second, which is this duplicate, the second one, right, then you select the type here. You select is fading zoom. So once you select fading zoom, you put -100 on the amount, and that is it. Once you press enter, then this is a shadow. The shadow has been created, and to manipulate the angle of the shadow, what you need to do is take the center, press it anywhere you want. Let me press it here. I can drag it this way or that way, right? So that is one way to create shadow. The second way is, let me delete this. Let me delete this second duplicate. The second way to create shadow is what you know, which is drop shadow. Right, drop shadow, you drop it on it. The challenge I have with this is that when you go to the distance property, when you try to move it, see, it separates the shadow. Okay, separates the shadow. Unless you kind of increase the softness, depending on what you want, you can also angle it depending on what you want. This you can use for certain cases, but I prefer to use the other one in most cases. I only use drop shadow when the need arises. So let me try and reduce the distance, reduce this, and perhaps reduce the opacity a bit, angle it, increase, angle a bit until you get what you want. This one way, this is the second way rather. Then the third way, let me remove this drop shadow before I show you this third way. The third way is floor shadow, what I call floor shadow. And how do we do this? Yeah, for the third way, I have this animation here of a face. As you can see, this is how it goes, right? So but I want to create a shadow, and you can understand why I call this third one the floor shadow. So what I need to do here is to duplicate this face layer, Ctrl D, and I'm going to apply the shadow on this second layer. Later I'll bring it down so that it can go back. So what I need to do is to apply the effect called slant, CC slant. Just type slant. Yeah, it comes out. I apply it on it, right? Once that is done, I adjust the slant value, which is 0. Here is 0. Then I bring it down this way, right? Continue to do it. You might just reduce the height a bit. Okay, right. Let's try and view it again and see how it plays. Okay, don't worry, we're going to set things right in a minute. Now what I need to do again is to bring it down to come under the face, as you can see. Then I apply a fill effect, the fill effect rather, the fill effect. Once you apply the fill effect to this second one, it comes default as red, but we change it to black, right? So, but what I need to do to this second layer is to pre-comp it. Why do I need to do so? Because if I try to drag it, because when you click on it here, you find out that the anchor point is still here, because it's a frame of this, it's a mirror of this, more like the duplicate. The way the slant effect works still leaves the anchor point here. So because of that, we need to make it pre-compose it. So I pre-compose it. Once I pre-compose it, I will now be able to drag it to where I want it to be, right, somewhere here. Okay, then what I need to do is to decrease the opacity a bit to 40, thereabouts. So any value that suits you, you take, you put it there. So let's try to play it. Now you can see, so that is how to do the floor shadow, as I call it. Tip number 15: time reverse layer, time reverse keyframe, and time stretch. These three components of time, how do we use them? So let's begin with time reverse keyframe. So this layer here, it's let's first of all look at it. It goes around from left to right, comes from left, then turns around, going clockwise. This is clockwise, right? All right. So how do we reverse it to go anti-clockwise? That is going from right to left. How do we do that? So, but we are talking about time reverse keyframe. Remember, we are mentioning keyframe right now. Therefore, this is what we do. This is the keyframe. This is a position keyframe. Now, this keyframe, just as I said before, goes from left to right, which is clockwise. Then what we need to do is to click on this, right click on any of the keyframe. I go to keyframe assistance, and here it is, time reverse layer. You click on it, it does the opposite. So when we play it, it goes this way. Okay, that is how it does. But you must first of all select all the keyframes, then you right click on one. But how do we do time reverse layer? So how do we do that? So let me get it to the end. Okay, here, stop. All right, now this thing, just as I said before, it's now doing from right to left, that is anti-clockwise. How do we get it to return back to where it was, which is want to reverse the layer itself? This layer, you don't need to click on keyframe again. What you now need to do is to click on the layer. What happened? This is the layer, right? Then click it here, right? You go to time, then time reverse layer. Then you see what happens to now do the opposites. Okay, so it does the opposite. Now, how do we do time stretch? Time stretch is to make it faster or make it slower. You can only stretch negatively or positively. So right click, then go to time again. You see time stretch. Now this is on this is supposed to be 100. Actually, it's supposed to be 100. It's supposed to be normally 100%. I think I was altering something earlier. So how do we make this layer that's almost 30 seconds, it's 29.3 seconds, how do we make it faster? So only what we need to do is to make it to go 50%, right? 50%, which means we want it to be double faster than it is. So as you can see, the new duration is now 15 seconds. Once we say okay, it will go a lot more faster, and you can see the duration has reduced to 15. So once we press play, you could see that it's a lot faster now. See, it's a lot faster, right? It's a lot faster. So let me close it up so we play it again, so that when it gets here, it continues. You can even return it back by what you do again is right click, time stretch. You make it 100% again. Assuming when it was in 100 or 100 stretch factor, you wanted to double it, just delay the time more. What you needed to do was to put 200. So you could see it has increased the timing to 59.22 seconds. So that is it. Tip number 16, offset path. Offset path is one of the modifiers or effects under the shape tool. This has been drawn with the pen tool. Here, just draw like this. So now I want to apply offset path on this layer. So let me even call it offset path. Right, this offset path. Let me crack it open. Once I crack it open, and go to, first of all, I have to click on content and go to offset path. Where is it? Here. Once you click on it, you see the effect it gives this. Most people don't use this. It is this very good effect or modifier for the part or shape. Now, what again I want to do is adjust the rounded join to kind of give it a rounded corner or rounded corners here and here. So that is how to use this. But there are other uses you can do of it. You can use it for some animation. You can see how it's changing. Rather, you can also use the part. Having done this, go to the part, then you can alter the part. I don't know why you want to do that, but it can be some kind of animation, part animation, depending on what you want. Especially if you're doing logo animation or something. I don't know why you want to use it that way. Anyway, that is how it is used. Tip number 17. Tip number 17 is motion blur. But this time around, we're going to use another kind of motion blur which is beyond this basic one. But first of all, let's look at the basic motion blur, how it works. All right. Okay, now I have this position keyframe. Let me play it so you see what it does. Okay, this is a normal position keyframe, as you can see. So let's try and put the basic motion blur and say the effects too. And this is how to do it. This motion blur icon here, you click on it before you come here. This is the motion blur column. You click here on the layer you want effect, or you want it to affect. All right, so I've clicked on this, and that is the same layer. So let me play it so you see how the normal motion blur does. There's a bit of blurriness here around here when you watch again. Good, but I want to go beyond this, right? So I want to remove this motion blur, remove it, and this is gone. Remember when we clicked it, it highlighted in blue. So just to let you know what it indicates when it's selected. Okay, right. So what I want to do now is I want to use echo, right? I want to use echo on this. I want to put echo effect. So I type echo on the effects panel, and there's it. Drag it on this. So the setting we're going to be using is on echo time. This is minus 0.033, but I just want to put 20 in between here, 00, right? That is 0. minus 0.0033. Okay, then the number of echoes I want to limit it to just 50. Then echo operator should be maximum, right? So, and this is how it placed right now. You see the effect right now. So this is how it plays. You can see how it plays. But what you can do again, if it's a bit too much, what you can do is to add turbulence displays, right? Go back and add turbulence displays. So I add turbulence displays. I make it you come to the middle of this keyframe around here in between. The amount should be 0 at the beginning, right? Then you keyframe it, and when it gets nearer to the end of the keyframe here, you make it about 10, just to sell it. Okay, just to create a kind of illusion, right? So let's play it and see what happens this time around. Yeah, it's a bit smeary and squeezy as it goes. It's a bit smeary and squeezy. So I think this is smooth. This is smooth. Tip number 18: apply adjustment layer to a specific area of your layer. For this example, I have this pre-comp, which comprises of this text, GeoFlex Media, and this shape and this shape, right? So what we want to do is to apply adjustment layer and apply effects on it, and limit it to a specific area on this image, which is now this. So how do we do that? What we do is to go to adjustment layer without selecting any of these layers, right? So we go to layer. You can either right click here, go to layer, adjustment layer, or you simply go here, layer, adjustment layer over here. So what you could notice is that when you apply adjustment layer, you see the bounding box. This is it around the layer that the layers that are beneath it. Of course, adjustment layer, when you apply any effect, it affects every other layer that is beneath it. But I want to limit it to this only, hence I removed the visibility of this, deactivated the visibility. So what I want to do right now is to come here, right, press R on the adjustment layer. Adjustment layer also has properties like every other layer. So I want to rotate it. If I rotate it, you can see what is happening. Okay, I can also move it. I can just simply, while the move tool or selection tool is activated, can quickly simply select it this way. Okay, so let's go now and apply an effect to it. You will see that it will only affect this part of the layers, or of the layer. Assuming it's one layer of that part of the layer. So let me quickly simply apply fill effect. Fill effect. Once I apply this fill effect on the adjustment layer here, notice what it has done. It has only affected a specific area. I can still move it if I don't get what I want, right? You can use it in, motion design animation. You can use it in any way you want. You can just, for instance, press this rotation, rotate it a bit. You can see, press V again for move to a quick selection tool rather, and so the possibilities are limitless of what you can do with it. So, but there is another way you can also achieve this. Another way is using what we call mask. I select this, just as I've done now, and come here, select a portion of this, right? Okay. Then, which means I really have to duplicate this. So it's a long process. If I want to remove the mask on the bottom one, I have to duplicate it, then press M here under this, then delete the mask for this, so this one can be visible. So if I apply this on the first one, the fill, you could see it affects the top one. You can also do the same thing we did with adjustment layer. Then you can rotate your mask, come here, go to the part, then once you add the part, double click the mask, then you can actually rotate it. So depending on whichever one works easier for you, but I prefer using the adjustment layer because it works better for me. So this one to me is this last example is a long process. Tip number 19, merge cut between two layers. All right, okay, now I have these two shape layers. One is face circle, which is this. Let me deactivate this. You can see it. Then the second one is face square, because it's in square shape. The other one is in circle shape. Okay, now what do we do with this? Now I have no keyframes on them. Okay, yeah, I have. As I earlier demonstrated in the echo effect that we used earlier to demonstrate motion blur. All right, so this face circle has echo effect and turbulence displays amount keyframe, right? Now, but the face square has just amount keyframe of turbulent displays, right? So I did this just to exaggerate it a bit. You can do what I'm going to demonstrate now without putting all these effects. You can still achieve it without doing or putting all these effects on any of these shape layers. All right, now what we want to do right now is to create a null layer. Let's bring in a new layer right now. This new null layer. Okay, so this null layer, we want to bring it to the dead center of these shape layers, somewhere here, right? Because we want to parent these two shape layers to it, which is what we've just done now. So these two are parented to this node. Okay, what we want to do now is to use this new null layer to create a position keyframe on these two, because the null layer will drag both of them. We have demonstrated that earlier. So what I do is press P right away. I want to start from somewhere on 3 seconds, then click, go to 5 seconds. I want this to happen within 2 seconds, so I drag. I want to make it faster, drag holding shift. You can see it's fast now, so let me leave it somewhere here. Don't mind all of this is because of the exaggerations I showed you earlier due to the effects on them. So what I want to do is I want to test this to see how it plays. But the main thing is that it will drag these two layers at once. But what we want to achieve with the merge cut is for one layer to cut into another. So that's what we are going to do right now. So as it's trying to render, in a second it will be done. So this is done. Okay, but we haven't finished there. We are not done yet. What we want to do again is to give these keyframes and easing, basic easing. Oh no, we can go beyond basic easing. We can go to graph editor and kind of when the keyframe is at the middle, or rather the playhead is at the middle of both of them, that's where the match cut will happen. That's why I had to drag this playhead to the middle. So I want it to be faster. I want it to be slower at the beginning but faster in the middle. That is for this null position keyframe, right? So, and that's where the match cut will happen when the speed is the maximum. So what I want to do is that I want the face circle to start. So at this point, what I want to do is to cut it. At that point, press Alt and hold, then press the right square bracket. You do the same on the face square. This time around, left square bracket, Alt and press left square bracket. So when we play this, see what happens. This circle will cut into this first square. So let's play it and see what happens. So when you finally render it, this is what you get. Yeah, this is what you get when you finally render it. Yeah, this is smooth. You can see a bit of smearing, and a bit of transition in the code, transiting from circle to, or morphing from circle to square. Tip number 20, repeater best practice. Repeater best practice. Now I want to show you something about the repeater. Repeater is a very important shape modifier, and we are going to demonstrate that right now. Now I want to come here and double click on the circle or ellipse. I want to make sure that my comp is active, and my comp is active by this blue line around it. That's how you know. So I come here, click, then go back, double click on it to drop on this, right? So what I want to do now is I want to add, or rather I want to, before I add the repeater, I want to make this shape equal sizes. As you can see, we demonstrated this earlier, this 1920 by 1080, but I want it to be 1920 by 1920. So while holding and press Alt, I double click here, this anchor, this link, so the sizes are equal 1920 by 1920. So what I need to do now is to press Shift and decrease the size fast. So I want something around, say 80. Okay, that's okay. Let me increase the view a bit. Right, so it's at the dead center of this comp. Now what I want to do next is to add some keyframe animation on this ellipse, just this ellipse, right? I don't want to add it on the shape itself. I want to add it on the ellipse, because this shape layer is just a container containing this content. Just as you can see, the layers, how this ellipse is under this content, hence this content is indented to the left and this one to the right. So now I want to add a keyframe on the position of, let's go to the transform ellipse, this ellipse, transform ellipse. So I want to add keyframe here. Just follow what I'm doing, and this is the best practice. So I want to add a position keyframe. I want to add it from 1 second, 2 seconds. I want it to move up. Let me hold Shift and drag it up somewhere here. And then 3 seconds. I want it to come down again. I want it to come down. Then what I need to do is to copy this. Don't need to drag it because can't eyeball that. Copy and paste is back to where it started. So I could just loop it out. Could just put a loop out, or click here and type loop out. You can see it here. Double click on it. I don't want to use it Oh, let me just use it. But for example, I don't think it is necessary. What did I do? I think I double clicked. I give it a basic easing. Right. So if we play it, let me return back to, okay, this is what we have. Right. So let's keep going. Now I want to add, remember I mentioned to you best practice. The best practice is when you click on the shape, let me just say, let me type here ellipse. Let it not confuse us. Since we have ellipse here, I want to demonstrate something. Now to add a repeater, you have to click on content. The idea is that whatever content that is under this shape layer are stored here under this. If for instance now I add, while clicking on this shape, I add another type of shape. For instance, I will delete it later. This, for instance, I add this. If we come here under this content, you can see it. That's polyester. I don't want it for now. It was just to show you how shapes are stored on that shape layer. This shape layer is a group containing 10. It holds other shapes. It can hold one shape, it can hold many other shapes. But let's concentrate on this. So I want to add a repeater. I was just telling you, you just need to click on the content. Take note of this, it's very important. And I will show you again when we need to use a group, how to use that. So once I click on content, I go here and add a repeater. You could see it dropped right under the ellipse. Okay, how if I click here, the ellipse, and then click on repeater? Watch what happens. See where it dropped? There are other things under this that it didn't drop under. The concept of repeater is that the repeater repeats everything above it. Everything above it. So let me undo this. Let's get back. If I want this repeater to repeat everything above it, right, it will miss out this where the animation happened. You could see where it dropped is before the animation, so it can only repeat everything up. It may not repeat the animation. That's why I'm trying to tell you. Let me delete it before we proceed. I'm trying to tell you that what you need to do, the best practice is to click on the content before you drop the repeater, right? So let's do it again, so you understand why now. Now you could see it's under this, so it's going to repeat both the properties of this, or the transform properties, including the other properties like fill, stroke, if this thing has stroke, color, which is fill, and share, size, everything. So let's work on this repeater. So what I want to do is I want to do let's do 6 copies. I want to do 6 copies. So let me just type it in. 6. That's 6. So what I want to do again is go into this repeater, and I want to do something with rotation, right? First of all, what I want to do, I want to put this at 0. That is X position of this shape. I want to put it at 0 so that all of them will come together. Then I go to rotation, because this is 6 in number, and the circumference of this circle is 360 degrees. The whole circumference of the circle is 360 degrees. So what we need to do here is type 360 divided by 6, right, to get where each of them will stay around the circle that we've just created now. So that imaginary circle here, where each of them will stay while still doing this animation. Like this can go like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, around the whole radius. Okay, so let's watch what happens right now when we play the animation again. So when we play the animation, see what happens. You can see there's one use case of the repeater. Okay, how if we try to put in another shape? another shape inside this. Let's put in another shape. If we find out that it will still inherit the animation and the repeater property, or this repeater effect we've just, or modifier we've just added here. Let's try and create but I'll have to kind of okay, let's use this something different. Let's use star. Let's do it here. Yeah, still on this shape, right? So let's put it here, just small, right? And perhaps make it white, right? Okay, I can decrease the size. Let's get into raise the size. I think where we do that is the outer radius and all of that, but I don't want to do, let me not confuse you guys. So let's see what happens. You find out that it has, oh, okay, this one doesn't have the animation like, but let's see what happens. I know it's only the ellipse that will do that. If we copy the same, let me show you something. If we copy the same keyframe of the position of the ellipse, which is here, if we copy this same keyframe, copy, let's go here. I don't want to copy with property link, I just want to copy the position of this and go back to the polystar, and I'm trying to use shortcut and paste. Oh, okay, I should have okay, it's okay if, right, can you see what is happening now? But the thing I'm trying to say is that it had inherited the repeater modifier. That's what I'm trying to tell you. But we can also do one thing again. Let's delete this, but I can, okay, before I do that, I can also rotate this polystar, rotate it a bit, so kind of, let's see. All right, I think is okay. No, this is where I should have done it. Transform polystar. Why is the rotation of it here? This is where I should have done it. More like, all right, I think is right. Okay, let's leave at that. This is tip number 20, the last tip. Okay, you guys, thank you very much for sticking to these tips that we have presented today. Just go there, practice it, and perfect on your skills. Thank you once again for watching. Thank you for your time. Like, subscribe, share, and keep checking back. Thank you, and God bless.